Everyone, in this video we're going to be talking about firewall-d and firewall-cmd as the command in particular. And in this context, the firewall that we're talking about is a host-based firewall, and what it means is that we're just talking about controlling network connections on that particular box. And it's very similar to, if you use Microsoft, it's very similar to Windows Defender. And the other side of that is that we also have network firewalls. So this is like a particular piece of equipment or box that's dedicated to controlling network traffic. So very different. In this case, like I said, it's the host, and we're talking about controlling our connections to the server. And the other side of that is like physical firewalls that are like used in a network normally. Like Fortinet is a company that has firewalls. There's also Palo Alto. Cisco also has firewalls. And they're a lot more robust in what they can do as firewall, as far as like firewall configurations. But like I said, in this case, it's just going to be in the context of our server. And then we'll go over the commands. Okay. So the first thing that you want to do when you want to start working with firewall-d is just to make sure that it's running. So the first command that we can run, right, is system ctl, right, status. Did I spell that right? ctl status, and then we can just put firewall and we can tab our way out. Okay. So perfect. So we see it here running. So that's good. It's enabled. So that means that if we reboot it, it's going to survive a reboot. It's actively running. Awesome. Cool. So, and then another, I always like to say, you can always do firewall CMD like this, and then you can look at the man page. Now the man page is very good for firewall-d. And it has a lot of options, and I won't go over everything, but we'll review it and reference it when we need to. Okay, so always look at the man page, especially if you're trying to do something like maybe if you want to look at something like no, not that, we don't want to look at that. Let's see, maybe something about the zones that we're going to talk about. So if we put zone in here, zone options, there you go. So get default zone. So that's one of the first things we're going to cover actually. So a lot of options in there. The next thing that we want to do is just look up the help. So let's go there, Control A, then you can delete, and then Control E, and then we can dash help. Okay, and this also gives a lot of options. So we can actually pipe that into less, and then it'll give us here. So a lot of options here as well, stuff that we are for sure going to be doing today. And this is important because you don't want to try to remember all these commands. It's just too many to try to just memorize, okay? We just want to know where we can find things. So that's like the help options. That's if you get lost. Another great option as well that I actually don't have listed on the web page is what you can do is like dash and then tab, okay? And then that will actually give you your commands as well, okay? And you can just see all those here. We'll go back. Sorry, it'll go like this: tab, and then yeah, you got your options there, okay? And then so we'll Control L there. So what are zones? And I'm just going to read off the web page here. Zones are predefined network rules packaged for ease of use. So what this means is that you can kind of think of it as like a pre-built PC, right? I was talking about computers. So pre-built PC, it already comes with the CPU, GPU, the motherboard, everything like that. But it's for a purpose, right? So for you to use at home, to game, but it's already done for you, all the difficult parts of manufacturing it. So firewall-d has also these kind of pre-configured scenarios of what kind of network or protection you want to have on your computer. And so the first command that we're going to learn with this is to get zones like this, right? And then again, yeah, double tab there, you can see there, boom. And then we can see the type of zones, but this doesn't give us too many options, right? Like We have external, home, internal, public, trusted, but it doesn't really give us too much information. And if I just saw this, I wouldn't even know what I was looking at. So the one that we want to use probably more often than not is the list all zones, like this. And so this one actually is going to show us a lot more detail in regard to the zones, right? So if we look at one that we're going to be using here, so external, right? So what this is saying is that externally, the interface that we're going to put this on, the NIC that we're going to put this on, the network interface card, wherever that cable is going to be plugged into, or that Wi-Fi connection is going to be made to, that's an external piece of the network there. And we're going to define it as that. And what we're going to do is we're going to only allow the service SSH on there. And that's good. So, and then another thing we have, right, the opposite of that we can say is a home network, where we would want more services available to us, or we want to be reachable, we want to reach a lot more services, would be on the home side, right? Like a DHCP client that it's acting at. So we want to get an IP address on this network. We want to be able to communicate that way, right? What is it? The handshake there with the DHCP server with the client to get an IP address dynamically. Internal, same thing, right? Like, so this is the internal side of our network, so we're going to allow more services, right? But on the external side, we don't want to allow that many services or expose that many services through that network interface card. But anyway, the main thing is that we understand that zones are pre-configured and have a lot of different rules that we want to allow or not allow, all pre-configured just by naming it. Okay. And then I have like a table kind of showing a little bit of more definitions here. So how do we change the zone, right? So what we want to do here, right, is one thing you want to point out, I want to point out, is that when we use this command, firewall-cmd, and we do get default zone, our default is our active zone. They're synonymous. So that's one. And then when we set it, when we use this next command and we set it, for example, we're going to set it to home here. You see there, home, and I just auto tab there. We're going to set it to home. That's what's going to be our new default zone, right? And that's the one that's going to stay active. And that's the one when we reboot, that's the one it's going to go into now. Okay. So that's how you set them, and that's how you change them. Simple. Now, the next one is, how do we allow, not allow a service, right? First, we need to do is list the services that we have. Like, so we can do, well, let's just go this way like this. We can do firewall-cmd list service, this. Okay, so that's the services that are currently active or allowed on our home zone. So this zone called home. Okay, and if we want to add one to it, we just use the add option, and if we don't want to remove one, we just do the remove. But the one thing I also want to do is look at the available services that you have. So for that, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at this list here, because I don't know it off the top of my head. So we want to do, I figured it out. The command is going to be get services, but it's a little bit jumbled up. So the main thing you want to look here, it's going to be in ABC order, so you can follow that as well. And if you're looking for a particular one, at this time you can just grep it. So if we just do SSH, it'll highlight it for us if you're looking for a particular one. But that's a quick one. That's a quick way to find the services. Another thing that we want to cover is, like I said, adding a service. So let's say, for example, we want to add, if we look again at the get services list, let's just do get services. Let's see if we can find one. Let's do, let's just do DHCP. We'll do that one. So let's go back here. And then let's do get services. No, not get services. We're going to do add services like that. And then we're just going to do DHCP like that. And it's going to default to the active network. Okay. So now what we do here is if we do list services, we can now see DHCP. Okay. And then now if we want to remove it, all we have to do is remove here, like this. Let's see, what's wrong? I know why. Remove, like that. Not looking. Okay, and then all we have to do here is just list it again, and then we can see that it's gone. Okay. Next thing is going to be ports, right? So I feel like there's a little confusion here when we talk about services and ports, and even I was a little confused. Like, aren't services ports and aren't ports services? So it's yes and yes, right? So the services are pointing to ports, right? To the logical ports. Like, for example, SSH uses port 22, and that's defined. But that's like I said, that's a commonly used port for that service. So that's why it's bundled up like that with that name. Now, for example, another different example would be like HTTP, right? That uses port 80, right? But the thing is that it also, that port is assigned to that service because that's common. That's like the norm, right? So they're the same, but the way that you use firewall-d, you might have to manually add a port. So that's why they separated it out, because some ports, for example, like I have a service. So in my day job, I work as like a remote support person for our customers, and there's a application that we use that on the servers that we support, that it uses port 8444. So that's like a unique port for that specific service and application that it uses. And then so that's not a commonly used port. So we would have to manually add that. It's not just going to be a common, it's just not going to be a commonly used port like SSH or something like Telnet or something like that, where everyone knows that, hey, for this service, we use this port. Okay. So I wanted to kind of clear that up. So now let's go here. So what you'll see here, though, is that when we use firewall-d or firewall-cmd and we list the ports here like this, we're going to see that, right? There's no ports currently listed. But what we're going to do here is we're just going to add a port here. So this is how you would do it. So if we want to do add port, and I'm just referencing my web page here, 443 /TCP, like this. Okay. So success, we list the ports again, and we can see it there. So I want to go back a little bit here and go back to our, where is it? Our list all zones. So we can do firewall CMD list, what is it, all zones. Okay, and so what we're gonna do here is go to our home, and so we can even see it here that it's active, and then we can also see our services here, right? So we can see this 443 TCP here. Okay, so it's even active on that get or list all zones command. Okay, so let's clear that up. Now let's go back and let's just remove that one now. So we're going to remove the port. Remove port like this. and that should work. Boom. And then we're gonna go back, list ports, and it's gone again. Okay. All right. And then I have here, yeah. So yeah, you want to add. So yeah, I added there. You want to add permanent to the. So if we do like, for example, list add ports, we can do something like permanent like this, and this will permanent to make sure that it survives a reboot. Okay. So in this portion, what we're going to do is just going to do a quick exercise, just turning off SSH or adding it to the network, and then allowing it, and then removing it, and basically not allowing it. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go back to our section here. So the first things first, we're just going to make sure that SSH is running, right? So that's the first thing. Is it turned on? Status, and then we're gonna do SSH, and we can just do it like that. So yeah, it looks good. Actually, we could just make this bigger real quick. Yep, enabled, running, listening on port 22. Like I said, remember, it's services or zones, services, and then like I said, we can do it still uses the logical port. Sorry. Yep. All right. So let's go back here. So now that we know that's running, let's make sure we have the right IP. So we can do IPA. And then we can see there. So we can just do that. It's a little cleaner here. We can do IPA, grep, inet. A little bit better there. So there we go. So now let's go back. So, this setup here is basically just our server 1 on one screen, and then we have the other VM for server 2 up. And we did this installation in the beginning, and we created this as a no graphical user interface setup. Okay. And then so what we're gonna do is we're gonna run the SSH command, root at this command that we have here, or this IP address, 168.168. And my apologies if it looks a little small. Here we go, 124 there. Okay, perfect. And it looks like, oh yeah, I didn't put in the password, sorry. Or the footprint, the fingerprint. So you gotta say yes here. I'm gonna continue to connecting, put the password. All right, perfect. And so we are in server 1. Perfect. So now we can control D to log out. Connection was closed. And what we're gonna do here is we're going to remove the service. Okay, so we're gonna remove the service now. Remove service. It's gonna equal SSH like this. Okay, success. And then let's try to do it again. SSH, and as you can see, it fails. It says connect to host, no route to host. Okay, it does not work anymore. We'll try it again, nothing. Okay, and then even here, if we go back, we can still see the service is running, right? But nothing is getting through. Okay, so that's the great thing about firewalls. They will act independently of the of whatever the operating system wants. So now what we're gonna do now is we're gonna re-add that service. So we just go add service like this. Okay, and then now let's try it again. And it's asking us for the password. And just like that, it works again. Okay, so that's a short, small little exercise. It does work on the fly, which is really, really great for us. I don't have to reboot or anything like that. Now let's see. Oh, okay, so the next thing we're gonna talk about here, and I'll pull this one down and go back to this one. So now what we're gonna look at is just some important files here. And I just have them here on the website. They're easily you can copy and paste from there. Okay, Control A, and you can just cat, or not cat, but let's, we go here, space, actually. There we go. Okay, and so these are actually the files that the firewall D reaches out to and looks for in reference to what it should be for the zones, or the configuration for the zones. Okay, so what we can do is here is actually cat this, right? And it's an XML file, and as you can see, it has it all defined here already. Okay, so one thing that we can do here, and this is, oh, okay, so there is a difference, right? There's a system defined and a user defined section. Okay, and then so what we're gonna do here is actually just go, we're just gonna go and go to the user defined in Etsy. Okay, so we can go here, paste, and you can change these. You can change these, as I say, like manually, like you can change them. But I would recommend to, if you don't have to go in there and manually do it, I would not do it. XMLs are sensitive, and you can create the wrong space and make the service name not readable. So always try to stick with the commands. Okay. And so yeah, go ahead in there. I think I'm gonna leave that for you to try. Go ahead and try to change it manually, reload the firewall, see if that changes the output for the system. Okay, so that's all I have for you. If you have any questions, just put them there in the comment. Thank you so much.